Well, I'm in Spain still for a
My
little while
daughter
longer.
just left Spain this morning.
Well, where was she? Oh, you said she was there. Where was she?
She was all over Madrid,
Ah,
and I don't even know.
okay, cool. Well, I hope she had a good time. How are you? Because you look like you look younger or something.
I look younger. Could be my radiant energy Tesla coil machine I picked up in Mexico.
Yeah, you showed it me, but I'm just wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering how you find it.
Oh, that is so much fun. Do that again. Do it again, Chris. That's amazing. Oh, this is lightning strike. I gotta get the one.
Hey, I have no pains, no aches and pains.
Really?
None.
You seem happy. You seem very happy.
You know what, Dave? I'm doing what I want to do. Like I somehow the creator has made it possible for me to do flat smacking as a way, and I'm able to support myself. And but you know what? It's like I don't care about my career. I don't care about it's not about the money. It was like, oh, he's in it for the money. It's about waking up people. What does every flat earther want to do? The number one thing to get out of bed to do is like, who can I wake up to flat earth today? Right?
Yeah.
We all have it. I mean, like if somebody walked into your house, the pizza guy, your neighbor, the top of your head is like, how do I wake this guy up to flat earth? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody. Because it's unplugging people from the matrix. We're all Morpheus.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. I'm just trying to go through to go make sure I go live on.
Oh, this is live. We're going live.
Yeah, you don't mind doing it live.
No, I don't. They didn't say it was live though.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
I would have promoted it. I'll try. Give me a second before you go live. Do you know how to make it go live?
I think I've just found the button for that. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
I'll hold off.
Hold on. Where is your channel? Hold on. Now I got to think. That involves pausing. Oh, I have a thing on my Facebook page for your channel. Let me look. Let me just put it in and tweet it, and then you go live.
Awesome.
The live stream, is it already set up? Like, is there a link already to it?
Yeah, I've already done that.
Okay, let me just get to it, and then so people are waiting in the chat.
Well, I don't know. Well, it's only when I go live it'll create a chat apparently. So it's not like StreamYard. As I said, it's my first time, so there isn't actually already a live link on my YouTube channel until I push this button. Apparently.
All right, so you push the button, and then as soon as we're live, you talk for a little bit so I can post it and send the link out. All right.
Awesome. I'll do that. Nice one, Dave. I just got to go live. And the YouTube, once again, it's suspended. Oh, I put the wrong one.
No. Oh, you did the wrong one. Yeah, it's not that one. You have to do the Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a mistake.
Okay, now you can go.
Now I go. Yeah, I was using my suspended account. Or suspended, it was removed altogether.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really happy for you, Dave, because it looks like you're on a good thing there, and I'm happy for you.
Well, we're all in this together, my friend. We all get inspired by different people. You definitely inspired me with your rants out there on the Globe Live tour last year, and if we don't do it, who's going to do it, right?
Yeah, man. Well, I know there's not a lot of people doing it, relatively speaking, but no, it just for you, I can tell that it feels like I'll give you a little very there's very few people in the flat world that need an introduction to this evening's live guest. I actually sprung it on him in the last 30 seconds that we were going to go live. So he's the consummate pro at this. He does it all day long. So he's kindly agreed to just share this out on his multiple channel and get a little bit of following here tonight for the live stream. For my usual subscribers, you'll know that I've had some big hitters last week. Martin Leaker was the first, and then Brian Stavely. And at the end of the week was Mark Sargent, but sandwiched in that, between that, was a personal encounter with Stellium 7 and conspiracy music guru Alex Michael, and another activist pal of mine, Howard George Stewart. So I've had like an action-packed week here in Spain, talking to a whole bunch of people, and tomorrow I've got Karen B to kind of, well, that's the last of the ones that I've got organized at the moment. So I'm really on a bit of a drive here to do something. I was just saying to Dave before, we went live that I'm really happy for him that he seems to be on a really good thing. He's put a lot of effort into driving his activism, his channel, all the deep inside the rabbit hole stuff, the app, which apparently is turning into a Flat Earth Tinder as well. And he's just like a powerhouse of Flat Earth. He, recently my heart kind of went out to him a little bit. Not that he's at all. He's like impenetrable, this guy. But he was on that Professor Dave. I know, obviously,
not a professor, not a real professor.
And really, that the three of us have the same name. It's just, I don't know, but there's a lot of Daves in
it's probably not even his name. Well, at least we could hope, right?
Yeah, I think they did. Like Harry did with John Smith Globli. He chose a name that was a very common name, John Smith. And I think that what they did with Morales was they said, well, we need to find a very common name in Flat Earth, and they picked Dave. Allegedly, it's one of the most popular names in Flat Earth.
Maybe. He's everyone's like, you got destroyed, the Globers. That's all they have. You got destroyed by Professor Dave. And, what's happening with that video, since it's a #1 hit when you Google Flat Earth, is I get tons of emails from people going, hey, I'm not a flat earther by any way. I'm a globe believer. He goes, but why did that professor act like that? And that's what gives me the opportunity to send them a little playlist. Here, check out these videos, a little bit on Professor Dave, a little some good flat videos. And then some of them email me back going, holy crap, this stuff is real, and then they're hooked and then they're in. And that's the best. So thanks, Google, for promoting that,
Unprofessional Dave.
Yeah, Unprofessional Dave. A week from this Thursday, Jaron, Sean Hibbler, and myself are doing and I don't want to call it a debate. We're having a discussion with a guy named Bryant. So basically on his last name. He's a total glober. He has a channel. He has web pages dedicated to debunking Flat Earth, but he's honest. Okay. He's honest. He absolutely believes what he's saying. He's not like the other anti-Flat Earthers. And he's on board with everything else that we can't say here on YouTube. He's on board with everything except Flat Earth and the moon landing. So it's like the guy's totally pissing me off because I'm starting to really like him. In our emails, we're going back and forth. I'm like, this guy could be my best friend, but he is like the consummate Flat Earth denier. So this is going to be an epic discussion. Yeah.
Where do you start? Do you chip away at some of the common ground first?
He actually supplied us 14 questions that he would like to present, 14 proofs. So we're gonna review them, and we're gonna give him all the time he needs to talk, and we're gonna try to keep our answers short and sweet.
Yeah. Awesome. And for 14 proofs of the globe.
Of the globe. 14 reasons Flat Earth is stupid. And some of them, I don't want to give it away, but some of them were just like, welcome to 2015.
Well, guys don't really do either. They can't hear or they just don't want to do the research. I met a few in the street recently when we did the last English tour.
I watched your latest video. That last guy wanted to just jump through the screen and strangle that guy.
I think that one Jason had been struggling with that one for a while. That guy, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, and
the guy with the beard, he was just like, he was so full of himself, but like he had nothing, but he was just holding on. Yeah, it's so crazy.
And I was thinking, for some people, because what's changed in activism for me in the last few years is that people are preloaded now with Beyond Flat Earth or the Flat Earth documentaries and stuff like that, Professor Dave and all that. A lot of people have been given lines to say. So when they come, they often repeating lines that they never knew 3 or 4 years ago. So they're saying stuff which means that they've done their bit of research on Flat Earth.
They've done their bit of propaganda indoctrination, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's the one thing that's changed, is that there are people who are coming in that are like they've already got an axe to grind, and they're not, they've not got the open mind. It's already been reified by the Professor Dave propaganda or the National Geographic one with the laser. I think it's the National Geographic one with the laser. That one comes up often, and Bob's ring gyro that still comes up.
It's so stupid. Bob's ring laser gyro one, which if you listen to the whole thing, it proves the Earth is not spinning. And in Jaren's with the laser, that guy's arm reach would have to go up, I think, 27 feet to prove the Earth was a globe, right? But it only went up a little bit, and they could see it. It's like if it's not a single thought, it's too much for them, right? It's like, I was told boats go over the horizon because, boats go over the horizon because it's a ball. Well, yeah, that's true, but we don't live on a ball. There's other reasons why the optical horizon, which you can zoom in and change it, you can't zoom in on a ball and change the physical horizon. So it's just amazing that, I say a lot of my interviews, they tell us in school that we use 10% of our brain, right? That's what they teach us in school. That's the goal of school. Because if you use the other 90%, you might challenge their alleged authority over you.
I think that we probably do. I did drive towards the sea today, and as I came over the coastal region, I had a really long view to the left and the right of me. And I noticed that obviously for me the sea is level, but I noticed that the apparent ground seemed to like narrow towards the edges of my vision, left and right, and I thought this is because people are coming to me and say, I've stood there and I've seen curvature, and obviously I know it's an optical effect that's causing us to see things and squeeze down. But what I realize is, of course, when I'm looking directly in front of me towards the coast, I'm looking 3 or 4 miles. When I'm looking to the left or to the right of me, the distance to the beach, as the triangle widens, the distance to the beach is further. And so all the perspective and all other things start to crunch what I'm seeing.
Dave, tell me what you think of this. If you're standing in an unobscured area, standing at the edge of the water, and you can see 180 degrees. Okay. So you're looking at a boat that's out on the horizon, okay. And let's say it's whether it's 10 miles or 50 miles, doesn't matter. It's X number of miles, and you can't see anything beyond it, right? We just know that's because we just can't see the water beyond it, not because of a curve. When that boat goes farther away from us, we're not going to see this kind of curve. We're not going to see, the distance we can see, I can see X miles straight ahead, 12 o'clock, and I can see the same number of miles at 11, 10, and 9, and 1, 2, and 3. So that creates a circle of vision. So we're here, right? And so the Globers use this argument, right? They go, oh, look, I see curvature, and they draw a line, and they say, look, there's curvature, but that's just the limit of our vision. Yeah, it's curvature. It's flat curvature.
Yeah.
It sounds like a glober, flat curvature.
You're just drawing a coin, really, with your
vision, your limit of vision. We see in a circle. They draw a line on that and say, "Oh no, that's the curve of the Earth." Because if you take the curve that they look at, right? They see this little curve here. So if I followed that around, if I follow that curve, by the time I'm turned around, I'm pointing at my feet. Well, the horizon's still up there. The horizon doesn't drop. The horizon goes all the way around us at the same level.
Oh man, it's so easy when I was talking to some people on about their plane flight in Speaker's Corner the other day, and they were like, "No, we've seen the curvature out the window." But in the moment, I forgot to remind them that this curvature that they think they're seeing out of the side window is not the same as if they're standing on the beach. Because when they're standing on the beach, like if you watch a ship at the reaches of your distance, at the beach, you won't see any curvature. The only curvature you will see is apparent curvature is when it's going away from you. But when it travels across the sky, just like a plane, you don't see any dip. When the plane flies over your head, it apparently seems to be touching the horizon off in the distance. But of course, it's simply the perspective angle of change. But when you look out the plane, it seems to, people say they see curvature, but of course, this is an effect of the lensing of the three glasses or the perspex. And of course, you're looking for moisture.
How about this, Dave? So when there's rough water, that changes how far you can see, because those closer waves create an apparent horizon, and then smaller boats go behind that because they get smaller. So let's say we have a perfectly straight shoreline. This is just a thought experiment. I just thought of this. Perfectly straight shoreline, miles and miles and miles. Okay. I'm standing and I'm looking at a boat that's 10 miles out from me. Okay. And it appears to be right on the horizon. Yeah. Now it's going to go parallel to the shore towards you, and you're 10 miles from me. Yeah. By the time it gets to you, it's now 10 miles from you. It's more like, 15 plus miles from me. So I might not see it. It will disappear because it's gotten smaller, and those little waves are going to take it out, but you still see it. So it looks like it's coming up in your mind. It's coming up over a hump and going back down. It's farther away from you. So it's smaller, and those little tiny waves, this little wave is closer, and it blocks the ship because the ship is smaller.
Yeah, I like that. I was in the water today, actually, as we were next to the Mediterranean. It's quite warm, and I was in there for a little while thinking about this very thing. That if I drop my head into the water, so it's just my mouth that's out of the water, I can't see buoys or buoys, as you guys call them. I can't see those at 200 or 300, 400 meters. And a yacht that was out, a small sailing yacht that was out at about less than a mile, I couldn't see that at all.
Because that 2-inch wave a couple feet away from you, the 2-inch ripple is going to block an entire city skyline.
Absolutely. No, right. Absolutely. And the closer you get to that, well, it's like anything else. I mean, I can go on a tennis court and put my eyes right onto the floor, and I'm not going to be able to see things very far away as a consequence of doing that, right? Everything's going to start dropping away quite quickly.
Yeah. So check out this observation. Think about this. This is going to make your mind spin a little bit. And I've been meaning to film it because I've been watching it all summer. I have a boat, and we go out on the water. And when I'm right off my shore, my town, less than a mile away, there's the land, which is higher than the water. And then there's the tree line, which goes up, let's say 150 feet is the top of the trees. But from a half a mile away, the tree line is almost looks like it's at eye level. It's almost at eye level. So when I'm sitting there, there's a building another 10 miles beyond that sticks up, and I could see the top fifth of the building. Okay. And so I see the top fifth of the building. The tree line appears to be at eye level, but we know it's not, but it appears to be. And then when I drive in the opposite direction and I go 26 miles away from that building, on a globe, that building should sink over the horizon. But the farther I get from the building, the taller it gets.
The more visible it becomes.
The more visible it gets.
Yeah.
And people don't understand. If you have to draw a line from your eye to the top of that tree and extend that line out, anything below that line you can't see. And as you move away, that line, if I'm right next to the trees, that line is like this, right? Yeah. And as I go away, it gets shallower and shallower, revealing the building. It reveals the building. Yes. So from 26 miles away, I can see this entire building. I got to find the height. I think the building maybe 15, 20 stories. I can see the entire building.
Mm-hmm. And those people will have a much later sunset than the people on the ground floor of that building, which is one of the...
Absolutely. And just in my town alone, we have two spots where we kind of hang out. One of them's close to shore. The other one's out on an island about a mile or so offshore. 45 minutes longer sunset just by moving out there.
Wow.
Yeah, 45 minutes longer. You can see the sunset just by moving a little bit. And then when we get the sunset there, the people out in Long Island, they get the sunset after us.
When the Terminator line should have moved about 700 miles in 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. And the other thing, on a globe Earth, when the sun drops below, right? When the sun drops below the Earth, that shadow line should sweep over the sky. You should see a dark shadow sweep over the sky really fast.
Yes.
Never happened.
That's what I was in Portugal 2 years ago. I was sitting in the mountains just watching the sun slowly and gradually move across the sky, which I heard you say the other day, and I think we're in agreement. I think you said this, that the sun, your apparent sun, is only moving a small amount, 200 miles or whatever, from the place it rises to the place it sets. It's actually only moving a few miles an hour. That's my view.
I think it's moving very slow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can figure out how far it is where we see it and where it sets, then we can figure out how far it is above us because of the speed that it's moving. There'd be some math to figure that out. But again,
there has to be a factor to the seasonal variation, because obviously one person's in the winter sun, that's it's going to travel maybe not as far in the sky, but you're only going to see it for 12 hours or 10 hours. So is it moving faster? And that's why it's quicker across the sky. And is it moving slower and more steadily in the summer, which is why we have these long days. Because there are some, from a globe point of view, it's hard to get a glober to hear this, but from a globe point of view, the experience that I had in South Africa last year of the winter and summer suns make no sense on a globe, even if it's tilted at 23 degrees. Those things, that doesn't make sense. We don't get enough sunlight there to compare with what they get in England at 55 degrees north. It just doesn't tally.
Right. So here's a little model. These are personal atmospheric domes. So this sun is moving all the way across all of these thousands of miles, but in your little dome, you only see the sun move here to here. Yeah. Right. Not to scale, of course. Okay. I love that. So this one's, it's noon here. So wherever it's noon, it's earlier in the day. So as it moves, these are all the different time zones.
Yes. But of course, that is the sort of east and west trajectory. Of course, there's a north and south variance as well, which is. But
that doesn't change during the day. It's just changing slowly each day. It's moving north, and as it moves north, like a north-south day is a year or 6 months, right? Yeah. Because and the east-west happens, from the lowest angle to the highest to the lowest, all within 12 hours.
12 hours, yeah.
But the north-south day, if you will, season, only goes once or twice a year, 6 months up and 6 months back. The sun is lower in the sky because I say the sun is like a street light, not the one over my head. That's my summer street light. As it moves away, it becomes my winter street light just down the road. Stand under street lights, a row of street lights, and tell yourself the one above you is your summer sun. And the one 5 street lights over is your winter sun.
The sun.
They're at the same height, but they don't look like they're at the same height. And the amount of light that they're giving you and the amount of heat, if it was heat, it's farther away. It's so simple, David.
And actually the streetlight example is a great analogy that I like to use for the moon, to say that the moon is close and personal to us, because when you look at a streetlight on a foggy night, it only illuminates that bit of fog in the immediate vicinity. There you go. It only illuminates that bit of fog. With the moon, on a cloudy night, full moon, you'll notice that it's only illuminating about a mile around the moon itself. It's super bright there, but 2 miles, 5 miles down, the cloud bank is black, dark. Now, you ask your friend who's 5 and 10 miles down, what's the moon doing? He'd be like, oh, it's just lighting up the area around me like a street lamp. There's no moonlight I can see down your area. It looks dark. So it is a unique and personal experience.
Right. You know what I wonder? So like, let's say I'm standing here and I see it lit up these clouds. I wish I've been trying to get it where somebody that's even 10 miles away, 5 miles away, 20 miles away to say, what clouds are you seeing lit up?
Yeah.
Like, could you, like, if we could describe the clouds, like, oh, I see a totally different cloud, right?
Yeah. It would have to be, those clouds that you're taking a photo of cannot be more than a mile in the sky, and they're not more than a mile from you, directly above your head. So that's happening inside of those clouds for you. I have an experiment that you may have already come across, you may have already tried this, but to do with the moon, which is that if you had to take 3 friends simultaneously to take a photograph of the moon, say a half moon, let's say it's the half moon that I can see now in the daytime, and my friend who's 3 hours behind me, let's say he's in the Middle East, he's already at nighttime, but he can still see the half moon, but I'm seeing the moon blue and he's seeing it black. We all know that, right? So we know that we're seeing these. You've got that already.
Yes.
We've done that. Yeah. Now,
so
those are taken at the same time?
Same time. And so, they look different upside down, not because the person's upside down, because put a moon, stand under the center of a clock, put the moon on the hand of a clock and move it around. It's turning. It's wagon wheeling from your point of view.
Yeah.
It's wagon wheeling. Watch it go around. It wagon wheels. Put it on.
If you put a clock face over the top and move it over your head, you saying?
No. I'm saying, imagine the moon is on the moon hand of a clock, the hour hand, whatever. Okay. And you're standing, do it on a ceiling fan, stand directly under the ceiling fan and stick a moon on the paddle off. So it's off to the side of you. And then turn the fan, watch the moon. It's going to wagon wheel the way you see it. It's going to roll. It's going to rotate. Okay. Good times for all. Zach Zambala, he's doing some videos on it showing how it wagon wheels different at different latitudes. Only could happen on a flat Earth. Again, it's a hard one to wrap your mind around. It's like spatially, you have to kind of look at it. But he's doing a good job. I think he made a couple of videos on it. And that's fascinating.
Because I'm observing. Did I say this to you the other day? I'm observing the moon roll clockwise when I'm in the northern hemisphere, and counterclockwise when I'm in the southern hemisphere. That's my observation. And as you see here, I'm seeing an inverted image of a half moon, a crest moon. So it would be this side in South Africa, and at the same time it would be this side in the north. So is this what you're saying is to do with that? Because for me, it's part of this torus, everything is turning, and this is just showing us that these are actually turning wheels.
Again, you have to, it's like, for me to do it, I have to visually map it out. But you got one person, so you have your equator. Let's put the moon above the equator. You have somebody north and somebody south. And as the moon goes around, it's going to rotate differently for each of them. Check out Good, GUDTIMS, number 4, all channel. Find a moon wagon wheeling. Good stuff. Here's a question I got for you, Dave. The whole no stars in space thing. I mean, any camera, any crappy camera can take this picture.
Man,
how come? I mean, it should be so bright in the sky on the moon. You have no atmosphere hiding it.
It's appalling.
It's ridiculous. People wonder why I get so animated. I get so animated because I see how stupid the lie is, right?
Yes. And then you have to face people, of course, in the street, it sometimes gets under my skin, but you have to face people who are just going to regurgitate stuff without thinking about it. And but maybe I was like that too. And this is part of my journey is to help others where I couldn't see myself.
Well, we all couldn't see. We all couldn't see it at some point.
We all couldn't see, and I think where there's that Illuminati card game.
The Illuminati card game.
The FE Flat Earthers know something.
Yeah, the Flat Earthers know that game. I remember when that game was on the shelf at Caldor, which was a department store, and when I went looking for some games, I'm like, why is this card deck so expensive? It was like $80 or something, right?
Wow.
And I was like, why is this so expensive? And I didn't buy it. That was years. That was like I was a little kid. I was a kid, however old I was.
Well, there's a lot of those card decks actually. It's more than just one pack, I think. I've seen a few.
Well, I remember when it first came out. I forget the year. So have you seen this? So this guy is facing forward. He's not facing us, right? If the optics of the sky, there's water, there's who knows what we're seeing. This is how we see the moon, the same face of the moon. As we move, it turns. He's not turning.
Wow. Wow, that's really interesting to me, because this is my sense, is that whatever we're seeing,
he's not facing us. He's not facing us.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what bothers me about this? He looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
So maybe you can detach his head, actually.
Yeah, maybe it is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. One of the early models. But that's really fascinating, because I think that when the moon, the sun, and the stars are I'm not seeing the same pinprick of light that you're seeing. Although we're both looking at Mars and Mercury and Venus and so on, I don't think that I'm seeing the same specific thing. It has to be a secondary or tertiary image that I'm seeing when I look at these things. The stars aren't bright enough for me and you to see exactly the same light from 1,000 miles away. They have to be a personal what do you call it, stellarium or
right
planetarium.
Everyone says they're all round up there, so this kind of looks like the sun, could be the moon, or maybe it's a train. Okay. And the light on here looks pretty round to me, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when we let it come a little closer, to speed it up a little bit, and it still looks pretty round, but when it gets closer, all of a sudden we see it's something completely different.
Wow.
So when someone says that looks round to me, if you can't touch it and can't measure it, it's mind blowing. Let me show you this. This is the best illusion. Oh, where am I going here?
While you're doing that, I've looked at the like a half moon, crescent moon, guys. When you look at that, on the inside of the crescent, it almost looks like it's rounding in on itself.
It does.
And if I'm not saying it is, but that illusion on its own should say, well, there's nothing. It can't be a ball. There can't be the rest of the ball.
It's just the lighting. It's just the lighting, Dave. Just the lighting. I'm on the same fence with Crow, and I'm not claiming anything. When there's a new moon, it's because it's a new moon. Like when the moon's gone, maybe the moon's gone. I don't know what it is. Moon's biggest mystery. I'm always yelling at the sky. Tell me what you are. But if you can't touch it, you can't measure it, you don't know. All right. So this is an illusion, right? It's not square. You can see that. It's narrow. It's just perspective. It's what's it called? What shape is that? A
rectangle or
well, it's not a rectangle. It gets narrower. Okay.
Rhomboid, is it?
Whatever it's called. So you draw it to look. So you can now you can see the shape. It gets narrower. So this is an illusion. So when he spins it around, which we just saw. Yeah. When he spins it around, I'm just going to jump back. It looks like it's going back and forth. It looks like it's changing direction. It's actually spinning in a circle right now. But your brain says the longer edge is always closer. So your brain doesn't see it spinning. This is actually spinning in a circle. All right. Let me just make sure you can see it one more time. It's spinning clockwise, still going. It's not turning back. Okay. So look, now you can see that it's spinning around. Right. But it looks like it's going back and forth, but it's actually spinning. Yeah. So he's going to break the illusion. He's going to put a pen through the window, right? To see how your brain interprets this. Get ready for a mind bender. Okay. So he's going to take a pen. He sticks it through. He's got a little piece of tape on it. He's going to show you. And he sticks it through and just tapes it there so you can see it. Okay. And then he's going to spin it. And you think that'll break the illusion? Because you're going to see the spinning around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You think it's going to break the illusion, but this is how your mind works. Okay. Ready? This is crazy. Here it goes. He's spinning it.
Whoa, what's going on there?
The optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the earth. Okay. Wow. Unless you can touch it, you don't know what the hell it's doing.
Yeah.
Look at that, Dave. And you're looking at this and you can't make heads or tails of it. You can't see it for what it's really doing.
Yeah.
Isn't that bizarre?
I love it.
Right. And just last one, you've seen this. These tables are the same size. They don't look the same size, but they are. And then when I show you, normally when you show someone the illusion, it breaks it and you're like, oh, now I see it. Right. Same size. But when he takes the paper away, it still looks different. Right. Wow. You should be able to sort it out that these are exactly the same width and length. But you can't. The optics of the sky are no way to tell the shape of the earth.
Love it. Love it. And I love all your research. I think you're doing crushing work with what you're doing, man.
You know what? And it's not just me. All of this stuff comes from everybody else. If someone has something good, I take it, I bring it. I've got a big mouth. I'm out there. I've committed to this. And you know, this is what I do. I love it. Yeah. Nothing's more rewarding than waking people up. The letters I get from people, I get two types of letters. One is, thank you. You changed my life. I thought Flat Earth was stupid. You know, you really, you know, my wife and I, now we're both on board and we found the creator. I get all these wonderful letters and I've been saving them. And then I get the letters, you're a dirty piece of shit. You're going to hell. You're a scammer, you know, and I save all those too. So there's like, it's like you look at the different people, like this beauty and light and love and everything. And then you look at this hell that's coming from these anti-flat earthers. It's kind of funny and sad at the same time. Maybe I'll put it in a book one day or something.
It's the light in the dark, mate.
Yeah, it's so amazing to see them side by side. It's like these poor, you know, anti-flat earthers. They're so lost. And it's like I always say, I don't want to say some of that person's being paid. Is Professor Dave being paid? I think he's making money off of YouTube, but I don't think he's paid. I say paid or possessed, same thing.
Well, yeah. And I think there is this, I think there's a spiritual thing going on here. You know, people won't know necessarily that I was an atheist just 8 years ago. I didn't really care much for anything spiritual. And then all of this journey has brought me right back around to, you know, knowing that we are, or
knowing, not believing, knowing there's a creator, period. Right? Yeah. Believing, you know, where and what and how and everything. You can have all the different beliefs you want, and that's great. Everyone can have their own beliefs and their own system. But knowing there's a creator, right? You look at a building and you can know there's a builder. Okay. Yeah. You know there's a builder. Okay. Yeah. Well, look at this place. Calling the creator a builder is a little bit of an insult. So there's a creator.
And the lengths and the extent to which this deception has been veiled, this veil has been put over all of humankind for who knows how long. Yeah. It speaks to the extent of how important we must be and how significant this place must be, you know.
It's a puzzle and it's a roller coaster and it's an adventure and it's an experience. And you know, and when people go, how could there be a creator if there's suffering? Well, you don't understand what suffering is. If you understand that there's more than just this, if you understood that your consciousness was eternal. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That your soul, for lack of a better word, is eternal and it's having an experience here. Wow, having all these different options to experience are amazing, right? If somebody loses a child, how could you say there's a loving creator? That's horrible. But maybe that's part of soul growth, you know?
Yeah. No, we have walked over coals the last 3 years, and we think that it's part of our destiny to do that. And I've been saying to people that if you want to become captain of the ship, really want to become captain of the ship, get your license if you need to. But but you really have to go out and sail in all sorts of seas, so the dark nights and the bad storms and so on. And if you've done that, then your soul, the sailor, becomes captain of the ship. I think that's the soul journey that we're on. And if you well, they say in the Bible that the rich man goes to heaven a bit is because you can comfort yourself, you can cosset yourself away from the experiences, perhaps not always, but you can cosset yourself from some of those experiences rather than having to really go out and find out who you are. I have a friend who may be listening in. He's a farmer in South Africa. His name's Francois. He did me a solid last year in South Africa. He bought me a car so that I can continue doing activism out there, and gave me a place to stay, me and the family, for a couple of months. And for him, he's a big fan of yours, by the way. In fact, he asked me to tell you that he'd give you a place to stay if you ever came out to South Africa.
Thanks. Thank you.
He's been wanting to he's got this shop on this highway called the R33. This highway is called the R33, and which always made me smile when I went on it because of the 33 impregnation in our consciousness. Yeah, but he wanted to put a big blue dot on his shop, on the outside of his shop. So
I love it. I love it.
And to do that, it'll encourage him to get ahead and do that. But for him, he says, flat Earth is the kill shot. And for me, I say flat Earth is like the starting gun to a whole new adventure about who we are and what we are. Because we spend 40, 50 longer years of our lives believing and pursuing a particular consciousness, or particular line of consciousness. And for me, flat Earth, and then everything that comes towards the spiritual element of who we are, has helped to reinvigorate what it is that we're here to do. And I think that it needs to be that, because you are obviously one of the kings of flat Earth kind of.
No. I'm the guy with the biggest mouth that puts in a lot of time. All right. There's many people that are way smarter than me. I just have a way to talk to people.
Only Mark and you can put flat Earth in your name, and then you'll come up. I think that, and maybe one.
Well, no, you put Flat Earth Dave, and up comes friggin' not Professor Dave, but that's what that alone, that video is waking up a ton of people, and anybody that looks at that video and writes off Flat Earth, they're not going to wake up anyway. They don't have enough discernment to get by. So it's doing a lot of things. It's weeding out people, and it's getting to people that I could never reach.
Yes, because there's a lot of people that, for me, I was probably one of those people who, were it not for someone maybe trying to make a debunk video, because the first video I looked at was a bit of a debunk video. I was like, they reckoning we're running uphill or something. It was a weird kind of way of seeing, and they had the 9 meters squared and all that sort of thing in it, included in that. So we're a rising disc, and so I discounted it, but it did get me thinking. And eventually, when I saw another video, I was like, no, I'm going to look at this one now and give it some head time. So it is. There is an element of hard-nosed thing about me now, where I used to be more like everyone's going to wake up and see this. Now I realize, having tried to bash people over the head with this information for a few years, that actually no, it's not that everyone needs to, or that everyone will, but those that need to hear, and people like you and myself, we're out there making a little bit of difference to catch those people's attention and get them going, you see. And this is what I keep hammering on about, is that flat Earth is valuable, do the research, do what you need to, but there's so much more about our history that's a lie, about who we are, that still needs to be understood and grasped. And then, like the Pan's Labyrinth, or the labyrinth, is that there has no entrance. The way in is the way to the center. Once you go in, you're meant to keep going until you get to the center, and the center is you. The center is the heart. And I'm still working on this myself, so I know trying to sell. I'm like this, but when you're like all caught up in activism, like I have been sometimes, I lose my center. In 2018, in the beginning of 2018, before I started doing activism, I was so much, I'd aligned my life a whole lot better. Obviously, things weren't balanced financially, but I'd aligned my life a whole lot better. So being on the road and being under pressure, being being kept in a state of fight or flight. I think this is what this game loves to do to us. Even when you're in the mainstream, you're worried about Ukraine, you're worried about fuel prices, you're worried about flu, you're worried about a whole lot of things, and they're putting you under stress all the time financially and so on. And I think that's the nature of this game, is to keep us in stress, keep us in fear, keep us on the back foot. And then even when you find flat Earth, you're like banging on the gates of of Downing Street, or you're angry about it for a while, and that's fine. But I think we need to move through that. That's why I always try and encourage people to say, do your flat earth work. But Francois, you've got to kind of also work on yourself, my brother.
Well, you know what, Dave, I used to, be into exposing all the other conspiracies. I had exposing the big three, which was, the thing that happened in Connecticut, Boston, and New York, all near me. And I figured that's so easy to wake people up to. It's so clear. And then people wake up to it and then they go right back to sleep. They go right back to work. They don't think. But you wake someone up to flat earth, you've infected them for life. There's no cure. There's no cure. And then once you wake up to that, you start seeing all the other things. You start learning about our history and giants and, and all sorts of stuff. And then you start following other great channels, on the app. Under the web button, there's the Tartaria Mud Flood button. Tons of channels on there. Start watching those videos and then subscribe to those channels. Speaking of subscribing, anybody that came from my post, make sure you're subscribed to Dave. He needs 1,000 subs to live stream. And Dave,
I don't actually. Let me just clarify for the record. I don't actually need to now. Not anymore. You can do up to a certain number of minutes, depending on how many subs you have. There are some limitations to not having it.
All right. Well, still everyone sub his channel. You're watching it. Just hit the sub button.
Yeah, man. Give the activism some support, And yeah. But okay. So talk about your app.
No. That I was just what the point I was making. There's links in there to that basically each link is a rabbit hole that's so deep that you'll never get out. So you find these other channels and sub those channels, and now you have like quality stuff coming in on your YouTube feed. And and then you start watching and learning, and I don't care what time I get up in the morning, because it's just more time. If I get up early, it's just more time to learn, more time to learn things. I mean, the thirst for knowledge once you start seeing all of the stuff out there to learn. But in school, they don't teach you anything interesting. They teach you basic math to be a slave. They don't teach you the vortex mathematics. They don't teach you sacred geometry. People go, sacred geometry? I've never heard of that, right? It's like, I'm like, wow. And when you start looking into that and start understanding that there's so much more to learn, and then people could follow their passion. I mean, I don't know if you know I forget the guy's name. This kid that he's a wizard with electricity. And Zach Zambala turned me on to him, and he built a Tesla coil in his yard, a giant one, and he used like Coke bottles as capacitors. And he had this big thing, and he like turned it on and transmitted electricity for like 1,000 or more than 1,000 miles to other people to get. Right, did this all, but this kid, imagine if he could, if everybody could see that, and then like some people that had the proclivity for that, I don't. Zach Zambala does, and others, everyone could start focusing together. All of that is hidden from us. All of that free energy technology is hidden from us. I mean, we'd have flying cars right now that run on energy from the air that never needs to be refueled. Okay. Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine if you never needed to put fuel in your car. You can crank your air conditioner down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit all summer if you want, and you can heat your house to a sauna all winter long. No carbon emissions. Not that that's a friggin' real thing. No problem and no cost. Imagine that. The only cost would be your air conditioning guy to service the unit. Okay, that's it. Electricity's free. Right? Imagine that. Why does it matter? Why does flat Earth matter? Because they're hiding the truth of our world. That's why. That's why.
A pal of mine in Portugal sent me a video of him using a little Tesla coil. It was about 1 foot tall, I suppose, maybe a little bit more than 1 foot tall, 250,000 wires or some wires. And he was lighting a bulb. He said he could alter the range, but I only saw him use it from about a half a meter away to like light up a light bulb. So yeah, it's amazing what's out there. And I think in time, these things will come.
The guy's name I was talking about is Parker Adminson.
Parker Adminson.
Oh, well, he retracted that. It's Parker something.
Is he still in?
He's still on YouTube. He's on TikTok. Parker Adminson. He's got a afro hair. There's like video of him as a small child. I don't know, like 5 years old, drawing with chalk on the ground, talking about Tesla coils. Like, I mean, like this kid is connected to the Akashic records or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just amazing stuff. Parker Edmondson, Edmonson, Parker Edmondson.
Cool. I should just quickly say hello. I've not been able to follow the chat because of me being technically inept. But so just a quick hello to Voynick and Andrea, Dean HD. Dean was doing some great activism with me in July in England. So the last video or two, Dean, include a bit of you actually. And Drop Dry and Ated, hello, Vividness and NH Guy. Jess Palmer, hi, and Phil Jones.
And Nora, no one's flower.
Is Nora there?
Just popped in.
Hello, Nora. We were talking about you this morning for some reason. Oh, because of something you'd said the other day. I still want piano lessons for my baby boy, by the way. Should have invited Dave Murphy. I don't think Dave Murphy would come and be on my channel, actually.
Why? You guys have a beef?
Well, no, we don't have a beef. I just, I don't think. I mean, I did a flat Earth event in Cape Town, and I sent him the flyer, and I asked him to send it around to his people. And he said he couldn't send it around because it didn't say it was in South Africa, and so people wouldn't know where it was. And I'm like, it's got a South African flag on it, and it says near Cape Town. I mean, people are smart enough on your channel, surely, to work that out. But anyway. No, me and Dave.
All right, everybody just relax. That's my new thing. Everyone relax. It's all okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
Everybody relax.
Well, you know what? I think actually one of the I don't know whether this matters, but one of the things that I think that is happening. Okay, so we're all about telling people that they don't live on a globe. We have no problem with that. We have no problem telling people that you Jesuits and all these other, the Vatican, but have been misleading us, and none of our history is true, and none of this is true. But don't tell them that the Bible is not true, and don't say that this whole religion that we're so attached to could also be a part of a con. It's almost like it's a bit of a conversation killer in the flat Earth, because we in the flat Earth there are so many people who are like, Earth is no longer a globe, and it's just like it says in the Bible, and the Bible is correct too. I've got Muslim friends who say, it's okay, the Earth is flat, it's not a globe, and my religion is still absolutely on point. And I'm like, well, if religion was designed as a means of control, and then it was usurped by scientism, why are we not calling it out? I feel like we're playing nicely with it.
You're right. You're right there. And I always say, all flat earthers, right? You and I both were atheists, for lack of a better word. And then you become a flat earther and you realize, okay, there's a creator. And that's where I draw the line. We all know there's a creator, an amazing creator. And whatever you do, where you take your understanding of the creator, that's your journey. Okay. If you're a good person and doing good things, and you have a solid belief or understanding, or whatever you want to call it, that the creator resides in this book or this way, that's your journey. And if you want to teach other people about it, set an example for them. Don't tell them they're going to hell if they don't pay it. Do it your way. Don't tell them anything other than, hey, this is what I see. This is how I behave. And the other person can be like, that's awesome. I'm going to emulate you in one way or another. Okay. And that's it. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think we're all supposed, and some people get caught in clear deceptions, but again, it's not my responsibility. I could just set an example, like they say, Jesus to be like, he set an example for people. That's the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, set an example, and don't condemn anybody for their beliefs. Help people find the creator. That's what I do. I unplug them from the matrix, the globe. They find the creator. My job's done. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But the thing is that if we care about unplugging people from the matrix, then to me, the flat Earth and religion are just two plugs of the same matrix. And so as I go forward from this, I have to be honest and say, like, I've got friends that are globers, but it's like, I know that I've had religious guys support me financially and then walk away because they're like, no, that's not you can't go. You've got to stay within the confines of Jesus died for you. If you leave that school of thought, then you're out. So, and again, that feels to me like, again, this kind of like.
I see where your hesitation about Dave Murphy. Dave Murphy's information, I find it fascinating. I love watching all of his videos. I love watching tons of Christians' videos, tons of other people's videos. I like watching it all, and I take it in, and I have my personal journey. That's it. Okay. When people ask me, what my religious views are, that's kind of like asking me what my favorite sex position is, and whatever. Okay. It's a personal thing. And I don't really have a favorite.
That's not what I heard. Yeah. Well, you've got to stay flat, Dave.
Yeah.
I think yes. I mean, yes and no. Are we not after the seeking the truth? And because people ask me this all the time, why does flat Earth matter? Well, flat Earth matters because of they stuck a needle into your consciousness, into your psyche, into you and altered us all. And so, yes, you need to remove that wound and maybe attend to that. Well, as I said to Mark the other night, it's like, who heads up this religion? Well, it's a Jesuit. And do we not say the Jesuits are this and the Jesuits? Oh, but they're saying we still read this book, and make every 5-year-old learn that Jesus died for you and all that sort of stuff. And for me, that's like saying, there's dinosaurs and globes and all of those
Here's the thing. And then we can switch off the religion thing. There's those that have a strong understanding and preach it and teach it. And there's those that completely disagree and see it the polar opposite way and express their views. Awesome. Because if you're on one side or the other side should make your side even stronger if your belief is true. There's people that believe in the globe, and then there's people that are preaching flat Earth. Okay. If you believe in the globe, you should be happy that people are preaching a non-truth from your point of view, because it should make yours stronger. But if you get upset or triggered when somebody's preaching something the opposite, whether it's globe, flat, Christian, non-Christian, whatever, if you get triggered by them preaching the opposite of your belief, why are you getting triggered? Ask yourself why you're getting triggered. Okay. Is it challenging your belief? Then you need to reassess your own belief. If you're rock solid in your belief, have a good time. Have a good time with it.
We're talking about belief. A lot of people believe that Artemis was going to fly last weekend. Did that happen in the end? Artemis, the rocket that was going to.
Hold on. Let's talk Artemis. I'll put my cool story bro glasses on.
Oh, right? Thanks. Somebody was asking for those.
Yeah. So I'm creating an Artemis folder so we can talk. Here's something I noticed. I believe that most of the rockets that actually go up are helium. All right.
Yes, me too, by the way.
Okay. So here's the Artemis rocket. I was watching the countdown. Look here.
Yeah.
Look at this. And then look at this. Overinflated. It's overinflated here. This is a balloon. Okay. Or it's paper mache. It's bulging out here. This would be high precision, the thickest, hardest steel titanium ever, because it's got to lift millions of pounds, and this is blowing up. And then if you look at this little connector, I believe there's one or two more. Okay. This solid rocket booster, the thrust and the weight, could you imagine just a little right angle bar like holding and lifting that thing? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? That whole thing is connected with that one. What is that made out of? It looks like a fucking shock absorber. Okay.
Cool story, bro.
It's a cool story. And then there's also these rigid edges. There's like sharp edges and that come out like a fire hydrant, Yeah. When you look at this thing, like look at a 747 or a regular jumbo jet. They're all smooth. They don't have any right angles. This thing that goes 10 times faster than the speed of than the SR-71 has all sorts of non-aerodynamic nonsense. It's blowing up like a balloon. It's horrible. It's actually horrible.
Wow. Did the fake launch?
It did. The fake launch did not. They kicked it down the road again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so we're not going back to the moon anytime soon.
I think it's September. Or maybe it's I don't know. They kicked it significantly down the road.
You know what I always found amusing since I kind of came awake to, because I was a bit of a fan of the previous one, the Enterprise, all of that.
The shuttle.
Space shuttle. Yeah, I was a fan of that. I was a little upset when was it 1986 when that one popped.
Yeah.
But now, now I know why they can't launch if it's more than like a 9-mile-an-hour wind, because those balloons will blow over when they let go. Wow. That's just
it's a blimp.
Those children's bouncy castles that you can get for a birthday party.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
You mean one like this bouncy house? Look at it, it's blowing around in the wind.
Yeah.
It's a bouncy house.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, and Dave, this is my favorite. I show it all the time, but this one wakes up a lot of people. This is the external tank of the shuttle falling back to Earth. It's going to fall so fast that this 40,000 pounds of steel empty tank is going to burn up before it hits the Earth. Now, look, how far are those clouds? Where's the smoke? How come this thing isn't heating up? Okay, if you were in a helicopter filming this, well, this thing's 40,000 pounds. It'll drop out of your sight in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But worse.
Oh, but no, there's a micro anti-gravity up there.
Guess who's filming this?
Yeah.
The people on the shuttle that are on their way up at 17,000 miles an hour. They're filming it out the window.
Oh, wow. Man.
So they're going up at uncomprehendable speed. This thing's falling down. Like, imagine throwing a friggin' locomotive off of the Empire State Building. And somehow it looks like it's just floating.
Wow. It would be back in a nanosecond, but it's a difficult process to get a balloon to come back to ground.
Right. And then I don't know if you see it here, but there's this little cloaked thing, something that's using some sort of technology to camouflage it that looks like it's trying to recover it, some sort of ship. On the app, if you go to the web button, watch, I think it's going to come by in a second. If you go to the web button, scroll down to the rockets are balloons. If you've never seen this information, get ready to lose your entire childhood.
That's a brilliant video, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might have seen a little bit of that, but not this cloaking
device.
Thing.
Let me show it to you. You know what? I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Okay. Well, I was just wanting to point out to people, because where I am staying at the moment, we're kind of in a valley, and there's a satellite dish on the outside of this property, and the satellite dish is pointing like in this direction. So obviously that's the sky. That's where all the satellites are operating up there. But the satellite dish is pointing to a radio receiver on the hill just over there. It's all dark outside, so I can't show it to you right now. But I did make a video that I want to put on my channel.
See it right there? Sorry.
It's going no.
Good. Finish your story.
Well, it's going nowhere near the satellite dish is not obviously pointing at the sky. It's pointing at a ground-based tower. It's really the point, and it's so obvious on these because we're up and we're looking almost down at it or perpendicular. Okay, so there's the craft.
Yeah,
is that it there? Yeah,
that's it right there.
And that's a capture craft, is it, or
we don't know. It was following it, so it must be something to pull it, or I don't think it was hanging from it, but it looks like something to capture it.
Or march it.
This is my favorite. This thing, it just blows. Oh, it just falls apart. Oh, oops.
And how people think that the Musk rockets can kind of just land down like this, pencil down like this, is just beyond me. It's like, we do not have technology that can do that. It's so hard. The Harrier jump jets took a decade to get them, and they have like 4 stabilizing points.
Yeah, this thing got nothing, and then did they forget to dust off the pad, or is that burning? They always have this CGI smoke, and
they went overboard this time because of the moon landings, where they forgot the moon landings in the 90s.
And I love they go way up into space. Earth is spinning, they're flying, and then it separates, and then it falls back and lands on a float in the middle of the ocean. Okay, float in the middle of the ocean.
And people think that those paddles on there, that's an Elon Musk technology. Just seeing those, they're like, it's got special abilities to turn it. Oh, look, there you go. It's moving. It's steering it. This is it. And they look like something that would be like, yeah, they'd be blown off in a second. I'm meant to believe that.
Yeah.
I'm meant to believe that. And the amount of force, this is where people, their belief in gravity, but of course it's just simply the density or the buoyancy.
And then always just before the landing, something goes wrong. The camera freezes. Oh, camera froze. Oh, well, I mean, I gotta do it myself. Like I gotta get a raft, and then all of a sudden, get my arm out of the picture. Here it comes, and it landed. And if my arm was out of the picture, you could just that's all it is. Bam. Yay, it landed. Okay.
Whoa. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, Elon Musk, savior of the human race.
Stupid.
He's going to be positioned over the years ahead, I wonder.
Yeah.
He's going to save the human race, take us to Mars, and a whole lot of other strange things.
Yeah, just like you watch the Musk landings or the launch of the Mars rocket, the test launch. That is so ridiculous. Now, people short circuit. They'll see that. They'll go, yeah, it's fake. But then they still believe. That unwinds all of NASA, all of Elon Musk. It unwinds everything. And people short circuit. They're like, I can't go there because, that's too much for me to deal with.
Well, you break up a paradigm. And one of the, I think, flat earthers are pretty smart people in general. But I think one of the things that they have in common is probably that they weren't necessarily as successful as the people who are struggling the hardest with this. The people who are struggling the hardest with this are the ones that have a really strong career and I know there's exceptions to this rule, but in the main, flat earthers were people who already felt like they didn't fit in too much, or they weren't captains of industry in general. There are obviously some well qualified people, but the people that argue hardest are generally the most educated.
Yeah, the more educated, what is that? The deeper you go into indoctrination camp, the harder it is for you to see. Like this guy that we're going to be talking to, he is so deep, I have zero hope of waking him up. But it's going to be interesting to we're going to be, okay, we can agree to disagree. Let's go to the next one. Right. And then everyone's going to have to make up their own mind. Right. It's going to be a very, very interesting show. A week from Thursday. Don't miss it. 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be on Jaronism's channel. It might be on Sean's channel. I'm not sure. And awesome. Then it'll be everywhere after that.
Awesome. Well, those guys have been Jaron and Sean. They've been doing great work, and there's good stuff coming from that side of the pond, the flat pond. Actually, there was this question. Just quickly coming back to the sea level thing, because so many images are taking over sea level. I was going to ask you whether you considered, because the mean sea level, when guys go and stand at the beach, are they taking account of the tide and where the mean sea level would be, which would be between apparently the low and the high tide? Not only that, this is the thing I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. Like in this glass of water, there's a tiny meniscus, right? There's a tiny, bit of surface tension. Well, when we go to the beach, there's a lot of surface tension involved in that. And so I do wonder whether the sea level isn't actually lower than we think it is, the mean sea level.
I don't think the meniscus, I don't think the meniscus is minuscule. I mean, when you have a glass of water, the meniscus is, let's call it 2 millimeters just for fun. You put it into a pool, the meniscus is still 2 millimeters. It doesn't go, doesn't keep rising, it doesn't get bigger on scale. It's like a drop of water. Yeah, that surface tension can hold a drop of water, but it can't hold a gallon.
Yeah.
Okay. So tides are all over the place. So, is the sea really level? I have 10-foot swings in my tide every day, every 6 hours, 10 feet up, 10 feet down. So the water's never at rest, but slack tide, and just in between for a short period of time, it's level. So you gotta take into account. And then there's also areas that have no tides, areas that have big tides. The equator, the Maldives, they have no tide, no 1 foot tide. And then in Alaska and northern places, they have 30-foot tides. Okay, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, and one thing they pointed out is it matches the the magnetic fields, the Clover magnetic fields, there's a high correlation to what's going on with the tides to the spots that have no tides. Very interesting.
Okay, now that's interesting to me, because I've been thinking in terms of there being a pumping station or pumping stations.
There might be. There might be I can't rule out that the Earth doesn't inhale and exhale twice a day in the north. And that's why there's huge tides. But then it's also electromagnetic. The tides are complicated. That's like saying, look at your body and how the blood flows. You got the arteries and veins and stuff. Is it your heart that's pumping it like a pump, or is it electric? Okay. Yeah. Your heart is pumping, but it's not pumping to your little toe and back, right? Your heart is charging your blood cells, giving them the electricity they need to travel. Okay. Yeah. It's also, there is some force, poke a hole in somebody and you'll see the blood squirts out. Okay. So the tides are very similar. They could be a breathing of the earth and an electric component of it.
Okay, so what happens is at the heart, it seems that there is this charging that occurs, but you need a relay station along the way, and that's where you have these pulse points in your body. So I think that as the blood moves through the pulse points, it gets recharged. And so if you take that analogy and put it onto the earth, then there might be one major place where there is the primary pump.
The north, perhaps, the center.
Yeah, and then at other staging points, there will be pulses, which
maybe all of our chakra points in our bodies, our charging points.
Well, right here you've got a pulse, and you've got another one in here, and these I think are electrical charging stations. Is the blood, because the blood can't make it all the heart; it needs to be refreshed along the way, or
I like it.
Yeah, but although one of the interesting observations I made many years before I became a flat earther was that I'm standing on the tip of Africa, Cape Point, and it's a particular weather day where it's not super choppy, and you can see as clear as day a line between the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, and it was like one's a dark, warm ocean, and a line between that and this eastern coast of Africa. You got this warm, hot water rushing down the coast, and then going somewhere towards what we call Antarctica, and then coming up in the opposite direction, like I say, a line that you could have drawn with a string. It's cold, brand new, fresh, clean water that's coming up the coast of Africa on the west coast. And so it's one of those things that sort of...
I've seen it. I've seen it. It's great. There's some videos on it. I got to add it to my presentation. It's good.
Yeah, no, it was, and for me, it was super real. And again, it was before I was trying to look for things like that. If I, post, but it would be, but so at that time, I established, wow, there must be like the hot, dirty waters come around the bowl of India, down Africa, and it's made its way finally to the cleaning station in the south, and then clean water is being pumped back up from the other side. But I like the pulsing of the magnetic fields. It's the best.
That's very interesting, the comparison to the body, though, with the heart doing two things, pumping and charging.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pumping and charging. And recharging, because obviously it's such a large body. How does the blood make it all the way from that one charge here to my fingertip? It needs something along the way to help it, and possibly on the way home. And that's, I think, will be exactly the same for the body, because the Earth, because I say to people, I think we are the micro of the macro. So in some senses, I think the Earth body works a little bit like we do, and it has blood like we do, and waters. It's mostly water like we are, and it has bones, which we call continents, and so on.
Amazing.
Just I'm quite fascinated by the electromagnetic theories, and I suggest to people that one of the best, if you're looking to nature for examples of what our universe may look like, then an orange may be a good example of that, or a fig. In New York, as you know, you're called the Big Apple, but I think that each of us is like a tiny torus, a tiny apple inside this big apple. And if you peel the orange open, you see there are these segments, let's call it 12 segments, and each of those segments are arrayed around a cup, and in that cup are the seeds. And so I suggest to people that cup, which contains the seeds, is our known Earth. Or in the case of your individual self, it is your physical avatar, but around you is the fruit of the whole thing. And then when you're lying on your back, if you imagine yourself being this orange or inside of this orange and you're lying on the back, then these 12 segments could be rolling over you like this and creating this electric effect that we see. Because when you look at the pith of the orange, the pith is, I think, the current charge carrying part of that, and it feeds the fruit. So that would be like our sodium layer. That's where our electricity comes from. And within the orange itself, obviously the densest stuff has settled to the bottom and the lightest gases have gone to the top. So it is the terrarium, it is the snow globe, but as a fruit, and of course we see that all over nature. So that's where I'm at with how the world might be inside of our little orange apple.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. No. Well, I probably had enough moments of your time, my friend, today. Was there anything that you wanted to finish up with?
I hope to see as many people on this side of the pond at Flattoberfest. I see Dr. Law is in there. He cooks amazing food at the park and at the conference. So everybody, Flattoberfest on the app. I just added just an easier button. If you hit the shopping cart, the first position as it loads for the first time, there it is. Flattoberfest. It's got to load for the first time because I just put it on. And get your tickets to Flattoberfest. All right. A lot of people I found don't know about Flattoberfest. So I'm like, now you got to know about it. So
yeah, there's no excuse, man.
Yeah, if you can get to South Carolina, October 20th through 23rd, it's gonna be, it's so good to be around the energy of all of these people. You know, we go out, you know, in this world around us, we're surrounded by zombies. Some of them are still wearing the muzzles, and it's absolutely insane. So I'm just looking to hanging out with some awake, aware people, meeting some new people, and making some lifelong friends.
Really, the Flat Earth events that I've been to have generally been that, you know, so I couldn't, you should go if you can, I would say. And,
yeah,
you know, much credit to Karen and the team for organizing all of that. I know it's a labor of love, really. You get a lot of grief from people and a lot of stuff you have to deal with. I was trying to organize one in England this summer, a little Flat Earth event, but I haven't quite got my, I haven't quite written that off, but I haven't quite got my shit together because the place a friend of mine was going to organize. He organized a place, and they wanted to interview us, and they were asking us questions, and I was like, okay, no, this isn't going to be the right thing for us, so we're going to step away from it.
Those of you on the app that are using the group messaging and the messaging, it's very buggy, very slow. It works, but it's very slow. I'm almost done. I'm testing out this week a whole new chatting system. It's going to be phenomenal. Everything's going to work in less than a half a second, and awesome. It's going to be, you can message out tons of people, groups, favorites, all sorts of stuff. Send images, links, everything. It'll be like iMessage and more. So awesome. Hang on. And awesome. You need to be a subscriber to use messaging. So the subscribing is $11 a year, because it is expensive, David. Expensive. So the monthly costs are getting beyond what you can even believe. But the app will support itself if people use it. So I think it's a way to, you know, this is a tool to bring us together. I'm meeting, you know, tons of people around me, and there's nothing better than meeting and making flat earthers. So that's why I'm so driven to meet and make flat earthers. And fortunately for me, this app seems to be the best effective way to do it, the easiest way to do it, the cheapest way to do it. And it is allowing me to do this full time. So I do it for the love, not for the money.
You do it for the love. And you know what we are, you know, when we talk about not karma, but reincarnation, you know, we may not necessarily reincarnate. But you know, I don't know that whether we do, but what I do know for sure is that we have children, and those children have children, and the world that they inherit is one that is either going to be this crazy technocracy, depending on how you raise your children, or maybe a life that is much more connected to what our Creator genuinely intended for us. Maybe our Creator intended for us to take this journey to get ourselves there by ourselves, rather than be gifted this thing.
Well, Dave, that's why I say working so hard. It's like, I don't consider it work. I love what I'm doing, but I am putting so much effort forth because I want a future for my kids. I want a future for me. Okay. Screw the kids. I have well, I'm not even going to say it because people take it out its turn. It's hashtag FTK. FTK. Yeah. Hashtag FTK. It's like, it's just a joke, but I want a future for our kids. I want a future for us. And, that's why I do this, because that's why we all do it. As I said to you, I don't know if we were live when I said it. What does the flat earther do when he wakes up in the morning? The first thing he thinks of, who can I wake up today? He sees the pizza delivery guy comes, or you see somebody, or you're stuck in a line somewhere. What are you thinking? How do I wake this person up to flat earth? Okay. And there's nothing more fun. Dave, you're out in the street screaming your head off. Nothing is more fun than waking people up to flat earth. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, your favorite position might be more fun. I don't know, I completely, I kind of agree with you on that. I mean, obviously, sometimes it comes across with friends and family and things like that. But I do get a buzz out of when it goes right in the street, and I make a connection with some people. And even if they go away laughing about it, I just hope that they're going to go and talk to their friends about it and stimulate conversations beyond.
Dave, it's what happened to me. People were throwing flat earth at me. I laughed at them. And then somebody said, "Hey, Dave, the earth is flat," and that made me look. That happens to everybody. So if somebody leaves laughing, that's okay, because somebody else is going to say flat earth to them. They're going to see something else. Someone is going to say something, whether, as Mark Sargent says, there's no such thing as bad publicity. I used to say that's not true. There is bad publicity. Bad publicity is still publicity. It's still putting it out there again and again and again and again and again, and then something will click. And there's so many people clicking right now. It's amazing. Or so many people popping, if you will, if you have your pop feature turned on. It's going, it's really happening, and it's really exciting. And anyone that says flat earth is dead just doesn't have a mind. They're not thinking, they're lying. It's really never been more alive.
I'd really recommend getting Dave's app. You can go to flatearthdave.com and all the information's on his website there. I think it's definitely worth the $3 and maybe to meet some friends, the $11 for the $11 for the friend finder. So sorry, you can send the message.
The messaging. You can still see the friend finder without that, but it literally cost me money. Here's the thing. It costs me money for everyone on there, whether they're a subscriber or not, because I want you to be able to send messages out to everybody. So they all have to be subscribers, which I have to pay for. Okay. Wow. But it's okay. It's gonna work out. It's going to work out because everyone loves it. We're at that critical point right now. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And then I'm going to do more and more with this thing. There's no limit to where this can go until everyone on the earth is awake. And then the app will be worthless because everyone,
it won't be worthless. It'll be a museum piece.
Yeah, maybe. The way I look at it, on the friend finder, you look at those dots. Every single one of those persons is a potential best friend, a potential romantic friend, right? Every single one of them, of course, you know what I mean. But they're all people that are awake and aware and that know what's going on in the world and are trying to figure it out. That's an interesting person to meet, right? So the reason it takes really long for mine to load, because there's so many people around me. I have 440 or something in my 50-kilometer radius. It's insane. Wow. Yeah,
that's all because of the number of people you've stopped on the street and say, "Take my app."
No, everyone is doing it, and thanks to everyone else out there using the referral program. People are using their own referral codes. If you didn't know, you can, if you have a little pencil next to your random number, you can change it to whatever you want. So you have a referral code. That way, when you tell someone to give the app, they put in the referral code, and then your number will change. This is my number is ridiculous because it's actually because it's not. I've woken up that many people, I can say that for sure, but they haven't used my referral code. I was just testing it to make sure everything was working. But that way, those referral points are good karma. And when your day comes and you go to the pearly gates, you show your number. The higher your number, the better service you get. Can't rule it out. Can't rule it out. You know, you're like, you've done these sins and you've done this, but I see that you've unplugged 720 people from the Matrix. I'm going to give you a business class seat.
Maybe it's like that. I think I like the idea of good works. I think that's it. And it doesn't matter what you did in the past. It's your good works begin.
You know what it is? Every point you get on there, it absolves one sin, right? Wow. It absolves one sin.
Wow. It sounded like the Catholics. They were saying
can't rule it out. Can't rule it out.
Well, there you go, my friends. You've heard it there from Dave Weiss himself. You might be able to get yourself a speedy first-class ticket with Elon Musk into low Earth orbit, or maybe even higher to the heavens above. It's been thoroughly entertaining having you on, Dave Weiss. You are full of fantastic energy and information for Flat Earth, for your family, for the human story. So
thank
Dave. You very much for coming on.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone in chat. We got 59 people watching. That's fun. And and we'll I'll see you around, Dave. And on my bucket list, I told Dave my bucket list would be to do some street activism with great Trinity 4 Dave.
Wow. Well, I can't end on a better note than that. Thank you so much, Dave.
All right, guys.
All the best.
See ya.
Bye.